Recorded April 29th, 2024. Good afternoon, Rod. Good afternoon, Brody. How are you doing?
You almost forgot my name. Why is that? I
I
thought
I I think I it's your name's Roderick. I call you Roderick.
it's actually my given name. I'm pretty sure my mom had something to do with it, but it's Rodney. Actually,
Rodney.
it is. It is. Rodney is a Southern name. My mom.
Rodney is a Southern name.
Lot of Southern family. Um, it's not my favorite name in the world. If they would have told me like right away when I came out, I probably would have chosen any of the other four that maybe they thought of. But I've lived with it. I've dealt with it. I feel okay. I'm glad that people recognize it. Most of the time, people just call me Rob. They put a B on the end. Right. So I'm used to that. I still say hello and all that stuff. A lot of times they call me just hey. I'm fine with that too. Right. Just hey you. I'm like, yeah, that's my name. So I'm all right with that.
I completely hallucinated your name. I was calling you.
Oh, don't worry about it.
People that ask
Roderick
me,
is
"What's Rod's
fine.
real
See,
name?" I
that's
was like,
another thing. I have a good friend of mine that works at Microsoft, works out of Microsoft Canada. His name is Roderick. And so when him and I used to do deliveries together, workshops and stuff, I would be Rod, and he would be Roderick, or because so people wouldn't.
I was even calling you Roderick, just making up a name. Right?
Roderick. Yeah,
Roderick.
I'm glad. Yeah, a lot of people
The,
fail
the,
to pronunciate
the
words these
Chronicles
days.
of
So I'm super
Roderick.
proud of you. Yeah.
The Chronicles of Roderick. There you
Hey,
go.
let me ask you a question because I'm curious. You asked me about the plugin framework for Copilot for security earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What are you working on, or do you want to share that later?
Share it later.
Okay, because literally that's literally all I've been doing for the past week and a half is just plugins.
I'm mucking around with some stuff. I'm finally getting a little bit of oxygen. This Q4 is busy, but I know you got to make some learn time, right? And
I want to know. I know that Brody said he's in his wife's office. I want to know what he's actually sitting on because I see him going up and down.
one of
Side to side.
those exercise balls you crunches on.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm standing. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm standing. I got an exercise ball here though, if you need it.
So you were doing deep knee bends.
Yeah, I was listening to you guys talk about names. It was compelling.
Yeah. So is FICA? Is that a family name in the Brody house?
It is not.
No.
Would you like me to read the definition posted behind me?
That would be
I will
great.
read it. A coffee break with friends, often accompanied with pastries. A moment of quality time to appreciate the good things in life.
Origin language?
That's
or
a really
dialect?
Swedish. It also says that.
Is
here.
it pronounced FICA or is it FICA or is it, what does it say back there?
The pronunciation is here.
Yeah, but I can't see that.
It's FICA, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's also a plant and a mineral. I don't know if you've known that.
I knew it was a mineral.
Yeah,
A
plant and a mineral.
Mineral, and an
Swedish
afternoon
swear word.
with Danish. With a
Right.
Danish.
There you go. Yeah, got it. It would turn to his poetic side today. There you go. It's a good Monday.
Yeah, I feel good.
I do. I told you you had one of those stupid balls in there. I told you.
I'm not sitting on it though. It is in the office.
Yeah. No thing you'll break your neck. Rod, so we don't have our guests in the green room eating up all our food, right? That's becoming a huge expense. People eating up all the stuff in the green room.
I think people have heard us talk about Microsoft travel budget a lot recently, or at least the lack of. We also have a limited budget for food, so I hope that our guests today actually brought their own.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
probably. And leave some in there, right? So we can eat it out of the refrigerator. So, Rod, it's Monday. You do anything good last week between here
Did I
and
do
there?
anything good last week? If everyone remembers, we had a midweek show last week, maybe our last midweek show. I don't know. Talked about the whole goose episode. If anybody's interested, I'm not going to go through the gory details, but we're still dealing with that. But like I said, I just been working on plugins here, plugins there. I finished up a plugin today for the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Even though Copilot for Security will give you that information based on the tagging in a Defender or Sentinel incident, if people actually do the due diligence and put the tags in, it doesn't give all the details. So what I did with this plugin was actually I'm pulling it in from MITRE's own GitHub repository where they update it constantly and includes the URLs and everything. So if you ask MITRE ATT&CK framework question based on an incident, it's going to give you every bit of the details for those tactics and techniques, which I think
sounds pretty good. I've been trolling people's Gits just to look at how people's styles for what they believe is a good prompt looks like and some of the other stuff. So I'm throwing some cycles behind it. I'm still doing non-Copilot related stuff that I just want to sort of finish up, but I'm gonna throw some cycles into it. Start a new series here with the customer connection program called Defender Experts Edibles.
I like that.
Yeah, so me and Sachin,
Edibles.
it'll be highlighted on it'll be highlighted on the show. We're gonna be one of the official outlets for it. Do that. Putting a little bit of our laundry out there in the streets. You and I worked on getting the website transition.
Oh yeah, right.
Messing with DNS and all this other stuff, but we got it all squared away. Works like it's faster actually now.
It does work a lot better. I was testing it today. Even every one of our old short links and everything works great.
Yep, works great. So I made sure to see the CNAME records and a couple other things was seamless, and put some protections in front of it in our new hosting place. So now when people go, I don't know how many listeners knew we're really running two websites at the same time, right? But now we're consolidated. So we got that done. Brody wasn't here to help, but we're not going to shame him.
Nobody asked me for help, so didn't even know you were doing it until you sent it to me.
Yeah,
Here you go, Brody. Go here.
Would you
Brody.
help testing its security?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
we'll do that.
Brody,
what did you do? And the beautiful thing is this one's free because again, all that budget stuff. So
it's most people think that the show just runs on Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms, man, but it's effort behind it. Pop-Tarts and Lucky Charms is effort behind it. But
nice.
But we do it for the love of the game. That's why.
Yeah, we do it for the love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a episode 1 of the Fallout series quote. Did you mean to do that?
You never know. Like I said, greatest side.
Have you watched the series? I just finished it last night.
I haven't finished. I just started. It's pretty.
Wow. We gotta finish. It's so good.
I want to finish it, but my wife, episode 3, she was like, I don't know if I can watch this anymore because it got real gory. I'm okay with it, but yeah, it was one of those, hey, let's watch this together series, and then now it's turned into I'm gonna have to finish it myself.
I got my wife to episode 1, and she's like, "This is kind of weird. I don't not like it, and I don't like it." I'm like, "Well, it's kind of hard to really appreciate unless you play the video games extensively, I think." But I think to do a good enough job of bringing in new people to understand it. But I won't ruin the ending. It's very good.
I think the reason I didn't binge the series because I tuned up the Xbox, updated, and then I got the game. It came with the Xbox. Like, oh, it's still active. We got a Super Game Pass, so I started playing with it. And I said, well, let me watch the show and do a little bit. But that's all I did. What else did you do last week, bro? Did you do any work?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm doing nothing but work, man. I gotta get all my work done by the time I go on baby leave. Which
when is that, by the way? When is baby leave?
So well, it could happen 1 second from now through until mid-June. And then beyond. So
we should celebrate every episode that you're here, just in case.
I'm on borrowed time, gentlemen. I'm on borrowed time.
We should get one of those little charts, like in the Super Bowl, how many points per quarter, like predict Brody's baby's birthday, right?
Let's turn this into friendly gambling. Yes, I'm for
absolutely.
that. Yes.
So this is your first baby, right, Brody?
First baby. Yes, that's right.
That's
Other than my puppy.
Well, after you have an actual baby, those aren't babies anymore.
He's always going to be my baby, Ron.
It'll change your mindset. I had someone last week I thought was sort of funny. Everybody calls them fur babies, and they're like, well, we just
yes.
What do you call a baby then? It's just a skin
baby.
something. I don't know.
Yeah, a skin pit.
Joe likes it. Joe, I can see Joe laughing in the very small thumbnail down there. He's laughing at all my jokes. Yes.
Skin pet. Yeah.
Presentation went well. I had a big presentation with the customer last week, and now we're moving ahead with major data and information protection and data governance work stream. And yeah, that's going well. And I'm closing off another project and can't wait till that's done. And I'm kind of in between on 2 other things. I started doing a little bit of pre-sales because I can't say no. And I need to have some more pre-sales under my belt before the end of year review. So yeah, so I'm just keeping really busy. I'm ignoring a lot of fluff messages that come my way.
Yeah. Me too. Are you registered anywhere? Like you all had a shower and stuff like that?
Yes, we have a baby registry. Yes.
That would be great. We could share that with our audience and get no telling what you would get.
If you want, I can do that. It's very kind.
That would be great.
I think we should do that. But
as our listeners can tell, we're not just co-hosts. We're family here, right? Yeah. But I'm not babysitting at all.
Yeah. Edward, I don't think you're on the list. Sorry, buddy.
That's fine.
Need some credentials.
Did you tell Edward that he's a godfather?
Oh, not yet. We're going to make it a surprise.
Thanks, Rod, for just spoiling the surprise.
We don't have godfathers up in Canada though. They're
oh really?
They're moose fathers.
Oh
yeah.
I thought it was maybe just all godmothers. You know, the ones with the wands and all that kind of stuff.
Did
wands like a witch doctor? Like what are we talking here?
Godmother. Remember yeah.
Well, like the fairy godmother.
Fairy godmother. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, wands were banned after the wand wars of 1952 in Canada, but you know we'll try to fill that void.
This is totally going off the rails. It sounds like
it is. We need to get
hey,
back.
one last thing before we get to our guests. We don't see here. What was I going to ask? I just had a senior. Hey, did you guys see your phone? The picture I sent you from this weekend when I went for the run on Saturday.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
This killer goose is going to jump me in my neighborhood.
That's great.
They taste awful. Don't bother.
And would not leave when I started to shoo it away. And it was so funny. When I ran back in circle, the things, I couldn't tell that there were a nest or the female goose was nearby. I was like, yeah, these things are killer. I'm not going to take a chance.
We basically just send them down to hassle you. Right? That's basically all it is. We send them down to hassle you and to make up for all of the pain and suffering that Canada has to suffer at the hands of America.
You know what that tells me is that we have probably a healthy goose population that actually watches or listens to the show.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Maybe I should
be joining us, geese. We appreciate your support.
Geeses.
I think geese. I think geese is the plural term.
No.
Geese.
Geese.
A group of geese.
What if it's geese from different countries?
Why not even come on this show? I'm never going to get a chance to talk. But yeah, I think it's geese. Yeah. I think.
No, it's
like geese. Check out those geese over there. Not the geeses or the gooses. It's geese.
So if it's gooses, is it mooses?
It's meese.
Well, those are not.
And so that means a herd of mooses, mices. Man, come on.
It's like boxing or boxes.
Anyway, this show is totally going off the rails. Let's go. So hey,
always off the
rails. All right.
To our listeners, our watchers, and supporters, thank you for suffering our endless banter and everything. You can tell. We are at the final show of our second annual partner month, with this month being a focus on those partners who provide security services, MSSP, as well as Copilot for security chops and or interest in security Copilot and how it's going to help their organizations and the customers. So as we close out, we have SRA, and I guess Joe, would you like to come on and introduce yourself, Joe?
Hi, everybody. Joe Cicero. I'm the Director of Strategic Alliances at Security Risk Advisors. Many of you probably tuning in know me from my career at Microsoft. I was at Microsoft for 6 years. My last stint being on the Defender Experts team, and now over on the partner side. And for those who've known me a little bit longer, you know that I've always had a passion for the partner ecosystem. They're oftentimes the closest to the customer. They feel the pain a lot more than others might feel it, and they oftentimes are the conduit between the product and what the customer or a group of customers are feeling. So as the director of strategic alliances, my job is to make sure that we are making sure our customer's voice is heard with Microsoft, and making sure that whatever new stuff is coming out from Microsoft, we're telling our customers about it. We're adding our point of view. We're helping them understand it. It's informing their decision making, etc.
All right.
Thanks, Joe, for helping to drive up the stock price. We appreciate it.
So, in the show, for those that are watching, you have SRA, Sierra Romeo Alpha dot Indigo Oscar. So what is SRA one more time?
So that's our website, Security Risk Advisors. We do everything from red teaming to a fully managed XDR solution. Our XDR solution requires or runs on Microsoft Sentinel. So we're a full Microsoft shop, everything from Defender Endpoint, Defender for Office, Defender for Identity, a lot of cool AI stuff going on. Obviously, we're on the show. This is the topic of the month, etc. What else do we do? We're the folks that you call when you need help. Whether you're looking to see how weak your system is, or on a daily basis, you want to make sure that you're hardened against the criminals out there. We are headquartered in Philadelphia. That's where I'm calling from today. I'm in our headquarters. Like, nice little background. This is real. Well, it's a screen like covering how bright and sunny it is. It's like 90 degrees in Philadelphia today. Home for me is in Rochester, New York. We have an office in Rochester, New York. It's great having an office. It's great having an office where folks are and people are going to. It's a very active office. We do have food, snacks, drinks, all of those things that I didn't have at my last employer. I mean, there was soft drinks, but it is nice to have like snacks available. But we are, that's our website, sra.io. So go to it, like, subscribe, all the clicky things you have to do.
So as I look at your show, as I look at your website, here are some of the services that you're offering out there. Red teams, blue teams, purple teams, XDR and cyber. Yeah, all the colors, right? You know what I should do is hire all the teams to battle each other to the death. But but anyway, XDR and CyberSOC, what you talked about. But I stopped on one in very particular. You had AI security. And as I go through it, you have like 3 particular focuses when you say that you have AI security. You have a Copilot moniker or a top level.
And everybody has a Copilot something now, right? Because
Yeah.
Microsoft is out there making a brand new market for a lot of folks where all of a sudden AI is now mainstream, right? It happened last year with ChatGPT coming onto the scene and becoming very popular. And a lot of us, especially us at Security Risk Advisors, have been using the open AI services for a bit now. It's funny to say that we've been doing it for a bit because all of it still is pretty new. But now that the Copilot moniker is out there, Copilot for security, obviously every customer is asking about it. They want to know, hey, can I use it? How many SCUs should I be looking at? What type of prompting should I be doing? Is this a right fit? What does it do? What doesn't it do? And I think more importantly, what will it do in the next year or 2, right? Because AI is only going to get better. AI is as bad as it's ever going to be like today. So that means every single advancement, Copilot tomorrow, a year from now, is going to be that much further along. So I think every partner that you've had on, whether it's Foresight, Bulletproof, Critical Start, who else am I forgetting? That's pretty much it. Maybe a couple others have all said, like, yeah, we have a Copilot service. And that's probably a newer addition to our site. I think another thing to point out, though, as far as our services, is we have an AI threat index. So we do some purple teaming to look at what that is in your environment specific to those AI threats. We do some AI pen testing. A lot of fun stuff to do there. You know, clone the voice of your CEO and have them call different people in your organization and get them to give out information. That's probably the easiest thing to do. And then we have some AI-enabled SOC enrichment. Before Security Copilot came out, we were using a lot of the OpenAI services, the Azure AI services, Azure AI Search, Azure AI Studio, now Copilot Studio, but before then to enrich some of our own alerts. So everything from summarizing incidents to just taking in some more contextual clues, some additional databases into our own investigations.
Well, here's something that I think is kind of important to highlight, because of all of the customers that have been, or I'm sorry, all the partners that have been on the show in the past month, I can only count 2 that have anything about Copilot on their website right now. Now, yours isn't Copilot for security, but you do at least talk about the AI piece, which is kind of near and dear to my heart because of how much time I have spent on this over the last couple years. So I really appreciate this. But to tell you the truth, that was something that kind of surprised me. So we're having partner month talking about Copilot for security. And you go out to these websites, and like I said, you plus one other were the only ones that did, and there were a couple other partners that do but weren't on the show. But obviously, James and several others suggested you all for a reason, and I think it was not because of the Copilot for security piece, but because you were solid partners to begin with. You were doing some super cool things, and now let's just see what we can do to add that extra layer of AI on there.
Yeah, we're both a security solutions provider, but we're also a data and AI solutions provider. And for the audience tuning in, they're like, oh, well, anyone can say that. These are specific Microsoft terms. You have to pass so many Microsoft certifications. You have to have so many customer testimonials, etc. So it really allows us to bridge our brain trust when it comes to the AI piece to our security brain trust and bring the both of those together. And it's not something that we're just positioning on our website. We have customers today that have purchased AI services from us and are using Security Copilot today. So it's not a wish list. It is something that we are using actively today, and we've been using for several months, even before Security Copilot was out.
Well, and I think the first step in that process is passing the acronym test, right? So you guys apparently did pretty well with that.
I'm actually on your website looking at, I guess this is your board to meet the team. This must be the most handsome board of executives on here. I mean, everybody's set for this professional headshot. It looks pretty good.
If you hover over mine, it's like me on a cruise ship because I didn't get the professional headshot yet. It's just there's so much opportunity going after that I just haven't had a chance.
And there he
You're
is.
on a cruise ship in a suit.
I
Well,
know,
it
right?
was formal night.
I think that's awesome. I think
You had dinner at the captain's table.
There you go. So before we get on, a little bit more about your company, rather than me have to read, where was the company? Are you headquartered in Philadelphia, like you said, or what was the company founded?
Headquartered in Philadelphia, been around for about 13 years, have about 350 people. One of the coolest things about the company is how we recruit top talent. So we do a lot with co-op programs with the regional colleges. So a lot of our workforce, a lot of our analysts are coming from in Rochester, RIT. So Rochester Institute of Technology, they do their internships with us, and then they get offer letters, and then they become lifelong employees. In the Philadelphia area, we partner with Penn State and we partner with Drexel University. We also have a college partner in Dublin for our Dublin office. And what that means is even our tier 1 SOC analysts have undergrads in cybersecurity, which I think is unheard of. I mean, maybe that exists elsewhere, but just in my experience, we have a very talented a talented pool, and the fact that we're working with them so early on into their schooling just makes the transition really seamless and allows them to bring the latest and greatest. And we even have folks on our team that teach in these universities too, so we're able to take it and give back in order to keep on growing the profession.
Nice. That's awesome. And I assume that's not Dublin, Ohio.
No, Ireland. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I thought, hey, you might as well we were talking about where I'm from earlier, and I thought you're just throwing me a bone. There you go.
No, not throwing that bone.
Before we continue, what does the acronym mean in your name today?
So I'll be at this event next week called MMS MOA, and then I threw in a couple little laughs, LMAO and LOL.
Nice.
Sorry,
okay.
I mean it's not quite as influential as FICA, but
okay.
Yeah.
Copy that. I like Joe's. It's shorter. Yours is fine.
So
yeah.
So Joe, you threw out the title, Director of Microsoft Alliances.
No, Director of Strategic Alliances. It sounds like I have a galactic empire. Like alliances. I love telling people in the gym, yes, strategic alliances, as if I'm brokering nation state treaties.
Yeah. So you have like an evil laugh that goes with it right at the end.
Yeah, and then like a blank stare.
Yeah. So awesome. when you look at that, describe what that role means.
Really is.
on is the director of strategic alliance strictly around security, or do you have a peer for the data and AI discipline that you have? Explain your day in the life in the life of Joe.
So it's for the organization all up, and mainly we're a security company that uses data and AI as part of our offerings.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not a sales role, for very specific reasons. We don't want to be seen as pushing a product to our customer. We are the thought leaders, we're the trusted advisors. We want to make sure that we're recommending what we believe is the best solution for our customer. What that means is that it's 99.9% of the time, it's a Microsoft solution is the best solution for our customers. That's why our XDR solution requires customers for us to onboard customers into Sentinel. It's why we love getting signal from all of the Defender stack. But we never want to be seen as the ones out there pushing a product or reselling a product in order to somehow get paid on both ends, paid from the partner as well as paid from the customer. What's great is that Microsoft is such a leader in this. It makes our lives easy when we have all of our strategic alliances. Microsoft is our biggest and most important. And most of my time is spent making sure that our customers' voice are being heard on when they have issues with things. They're trying to understand Microsoft Defender for server licenses, for example, and do they buy it through Microsoft Defender for cloud? Is there a legacy license? Do they have to buy an E5 license for every server? Like a lot of these things come up. And I know you folks all are familiar, and you might not claim to be licensing experts. I'm certainly not, but to the customer, they're like, please help us out, right? And a lot of my time is making sure that the customer's voice is being heard, that we're getting questions, so there's questions answered, that we're working with their Microsoft account sales teams, because for the folks on the call, you probably all maybe experienced this. There's oftentimes some Microsoft money to help customers deploy things, right? So if you're leaving Splunk today, you want to get rid of CrowdStrike and you want to go over to Sentinel, a lot of times there's some funding available from Microsoft to help you make that move. And part of my job is to make sure that the customer is getting all of that benefit, so that instead of having to pay 100% for them to get a better solution, we can help utilize some of the funding available from Microsoft. And especially because it's the end of the Microsoft fiscal season, there's a lot of help out there for the customers that are finally ready to ditch some of those big bills that they have.
Before you went to SRA, I sort of after I found that you were there, I sort of went back and remember, like, I've encountered them before, and now it did it. You guys were here in Atlanta for the National Society of Black Engineers, which I am a member of, and you guys were one of the sponsoring partners and our vendors here. So that was really cool to be in Atlanta. I don't know if you were down here during that time, and it looked like Mr. Rainwright, who is your CEO, will be presenting at the RSA conference this year.
Yep, he'll be. I think his presentation is it's either Monday or Tuesday. I want to say Monday at like 2 p.m., but I'm probably wrong, and I apologize to him if I'm getting it wrong. But it's yep, he'll be presenting there. We have the health conference coming up in Orlando. I think that's mid-May. That's a big one for us. We have a lot of business in healthcare. So a lot of hospitals, medical manufacturing, insurance companies. We just did a presentation with Microsoft last week on ingesting Epic Health security records. If you have ever used MyChart or anything like that, how you get that information into Sentinel without taking all the alert information, because there's thousands of alerts. How do you figure out what the most useful is, and then how do you bring that in? And we had a great list of participants, and I think a lot of interest. We'll probably do another one because we gave away all the playbooks on our GitHub site for free.
I wondered how my health history got into Sentinel.
There you go. Epic is a big thing. Getting Epic data into anything is a chore, right? And so as you do that, and let's talk about, let's go back to the theme of the show. Copilot for security. You have AI security agnostic. Like if you're using it, we don't care who you're consuming. We will come in and make sure that reasonable guidelines, boundaries are there. But let's talk about, is there a focus on you guys trying to innovate with Copilot for security?
Yeah, definitely. The fact that we're working with our customers to procure it right now, I think is a good sign on where we think it's going. I think there's lots of opportunity there. Helping customers buy a couple SCUs to understand what it can and can't do for them. What it can do today, like it can summarize incidents, it can help with some KQL queries. You get the added benefit of the Microsoft threat intelligence, whatever that SKU is that comes along with it, right? The premium TI thing. Like that's great. I think to some of our customers, they think, oh, this is my T1 robot, and it's going to do all of my tier 1 for me. And I think that's maybe in the future. I think we would all love, like, no one loves to do tier 1 stuff. Everyone wants to do tier 2, tier 3. So if there's any place for AI to come in and make all of our lives easier, like we all want that, right? Whether you're a partner, a company, a customer, whatever your role is, you would love the robots to do the work that you don't want to, right? You want a Roomba to vacuum your house every day or do tier 1, right? The reality, though, is that it's not there today. And that's helping customers understand that this is not your outsourcing solution. This is not go lay off a bunch of people because now you can buy Security Copilot, right? And obviously that's an extreme example, but I think a lot of people think of it that way of, oh, look at how cool this is, therefore it can do X, Y, Z. And marketing is great, right? Microsoft just had LeVar Burton, I think, just did a whole interview with, on how great Security Copilot is. And we all get very excited about it. And we're all getting ready for the RSA conference right now. And everyone's getting hyped about what the new terms are going to be, right? And the problem is sometimes we can jump the shark a little bit. And, we want to make sure that we kind of pull people back and say, you know what? It's a vision. It's on the roadmap, but it's not necessarily there today. But that doesn't mean don't use it. Doesn't mean don't go out there and consume it. But it's not go out and buy 100 SCUs and decide that that's your security spend going forward, and you're going to cut other things. I think that's where we're doing some hand holding to make sure that the customer understands what is the art of the possible today versus a year from now or 2 years from now.
Well, and that's why I shared that little. This is something that I'm working on. This is how I start my sessions. What it is not, because it gets rid of those misconceptions. Because I think a lot of people, I think at Microsoft, sometimes we over amplify and we think pie in the sky sometimes. And we think, it's the kitchen, everything but the kitchen sink. But it's very specific in what it can do. But what it can do is super valuable and makes things super efficient. But I think the more focus you can put on the things it does and get that other stuff out of the way first, I think is super important, because there is a lot of value here, because it's literally a framework that you can plug everything else into and make it as intelligent as you want very quickly. So.
What I do like about Security Copilot is right out of the box, there's pieces for partners to get involved.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's going to be more, right? I think maybe it was Randy or someone else was on talking about, like, we would love the abilities for partners to buy SCUs to use on behalf of customers, right? And of course, partners are always going to want that. Microsoft licensing isn't really built for that, where you could buy a partial SKU and then disseminate it across like a bunch of different customers. But the fact that we have this plugin opportunity, and I know a lot of people are building plugins right now, and I think even Microsoft is pushing out a lot of GitHub of free plugin prompting that they've built, which is fantastic. And that's kind of like the initial wave of how a partner is going to play in this space, is they're going to build their own plugins. I don't think there's necessarily a fully functioning store yet, though, in Security Copilot. So a lot of it is private host or private run, these unverified prompts. But I think that's, at least there's that business model for, if I'm a partner and I have this knowledge that I bring to the table, and now I have a platform, right? Security Copilot as a platform versus an all-inclusive tool, I think is a really great way that Microsoft is thinking about this and making sure that it's very partner inclusive.
Yeah, and you said something about being able to buy it and disseminate it. That model doesn't work for the way that Copilot for Security is built for. People are trying to apply the Microsoft CSP model, where you can buy a bulk of licenses, and as you bring customers on, allocate them those licenses that come in, but it doesn't work this way by virtue of Copilot for Security is not a license. It's an enablement of a feature and function within your targeted tenant that you have responsibility over and such. Whether Microsoft solves that or not, we don't know. Whether a partner comes up with a creative way to be able to do that, you know, it's not cheap, but you know, the old saying is, if you have to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it. You know, I think we started to throw the idea out to a few partners, like buy a lab, invest in a lab that you throw stuff in, especially if you already have a proving ground. Introduce, you know, Copilot for Security. There's data to be had in there, and then let customers buy time, right? Say, hey, you can buy time in our lab to be able to go do this and look at it. Now it has to be compelling, because if the cost of the lab is going to be the same cost to offset the partner's cost of buying the SCU, yeah. But it's a psychological piece. I'm not doing it in my lab, so it's not doing it in my environment, so it doesn't really cost me, even though I'm paying for some lab time to be able to do that. I think that's a viable way, if not revenue generating. It's a trust mechanism. Hey, I'll teach you how to do this. SRA has a lab, come in and, you know, beat up on it a little bit, right?
Yeah. I'll have some news to share on that little lab thing shortly, though.
Yeah, and especially if it's a selling motion, or it is a, hey, you signed the contract. I know you guys are not super interested in this, but here's an amount of time to take some of your analysts to go in and just learn this stuff, and have some criteria, something similar to the ninja training, where they're not in there learning in it. They just want a place to play, and that'll be great. So as SRA continues to mature, I asked of all the other partners of a sort, how do you continue to innovate if Copilot is consuming all of your cycles? What innovations are you guys? And who's in charge of that? Your CTO is a guy I think I know.
Mike Pinch.
Yeah, he's wrote some good stuff, I believe, in the past. I looked him up. How do you innovate? Do you have a peer while you're strategic director of strategic alliance? I want to come back to that one more time. How do you innovate? Who do you work closely with within your company as you do this alliance work of yours?
Sure. Yeah, my job is definitely not the all-up strategy of the company or the all-up technical capacity. Having Microsoft is a very, very big piece, and you can't just have one person saying, all right, Joe, you're in charge of all of the Defender suite, all of the technical integrations, and all this partnership stuff. So what we do have is we have a Microsoft technology user group here at Security Risk Advisors. It's about 30 people strong. And their job is to make sure that they are getting all of the certifications possible. Inside of that team, we have an AI team. They get release hours every single week in order to go and incubate and build. And that's true whether we're talking about Purview, whether we're talking about Defender, and each one of these teams is going to have the responsibility of coming back to our larger group and disseminating that information. Because I think one of the biggest challenges folks will say is, how do I stay up with what Microsoft is doing?
So when you say director of strategic alliance, do you have a peer? You can shoo them away, man. We're used to it. It's a family show. I get it. When you say that, I'm trying to figure out your role without having to ask you directly. Is this strictly all Microsoft? Because you didn't say director of Microsoft Strategic Alliance. Is it all partners and vendors?
All partners and vendors. Yep. Okay. Everybody that we have a strategic alliance with, right? We work with everybody as we should to benefit our clients. But when it comes to our strategic alliances, Microsoft is one of them.
Okay. And you guys are, I'm off your page. Are you guys part of MSI? You are part of MSI, right?
We are not part of MSI yet. It's before I joined Security Risk Advisors, they were very careful on saying, you know, we don't want to be seen as the folks running around flying the Microsoft flag, right? We want to do what's best for our customers every single day. And we don't want to be going out there just trying to attach ourselves to the brand. But the reality is, if you're recommending 99% of the time the Microsoft solution, then we have to be more visible about it. We have to be more proud about it. So I think what you'll see and what you have seen over the last couple months is some blog posts, some more stuff on our website, just celebrating the Microsoft partnership. And I think MISA is part of that. I think the MXDR designation as part of MISA is also part of that step. We easily qualify for those things. It's never been our passion, though. Our passion is serving our clients.
Yeah, and once again, we're looking at your site. You don't get in bed with a lot of people, right? Because your reputation is being extended by saying that these partners are. But I know it's Cribble's on there, and that's not a bad person to say, hey, we are one of those channel growth partners with that. And Microsoft's not a bad date. You could do worse on a date, right? It's
It's
all
a
right.
great date.
It does all right. And you guys are hyper focused on Sentinel. I'll be very honest with you, coming from the Sentinel side before joining the Defender Experts team, I hadn't heard of you in that arena. So I didn't really know your chops on that. Or you guys consider yourselves super deep into the happenings that are Sentinel, and you offer a direct Sentinel management offering?
Yeah. So Security Risk Advisors has like one person in marketing. Everybody on the team is security, technical, super deep when it comes to setting up and deploying Sentinel, all of the data pipeline, etc. Right? Company of 350 people and one marketing person. So the fact that you've not heard about them is almost by design, right? But when you start to look at their customer list, you're like, oh, they're working with these folks. They're working with these folks. Like there is not a customer list or not a person listening today on the show that we're not protecting someone that they wear, take medicine from, get surgery from, do their banking with.
Okay, and the Sentinel offer is part of your Scalar XDR solution, right?
Yep. So to have XDR is to have Sentinel. We also do some work with Cribble. That just allows us to help clean up some of the signal on its way into Sentinel. Allows us to bring in some more third-party content as well into those.
Yeah, Cribble is actually pretty awesome. I went through their little online administrator course, right? It's the data grooming and massaging you can do to clean it up. Especially they do very well at firewalls. If you can get that firewall data cleaned up before you put it in that log analytics workspace, saves your life. So shout out to Cribble. Maybe we'll get them on the show to talk about how they work with Sentinel and a couple of the other things. So
you let me know. I can make the introduction. We were a partner of the year with them, and that's why I'm actually in Philadelphia. They're coming in tomorrow. What we're working with them on is of all of their Sentinel customers. How can we help their customers that are Sentinel customers? How can we help Cribble, help them, help our customers?
That would be great.
Let me ask a question about your offering. Once again, we'll move on to the Copilot thing one more time. A question jumped in my head. Within your cyber SOC or XDR thing, do you guys manage? Can you manage Sentinel without having the XDR part, or is that integral to have the Defender stack to utilize your Sentinel care and feeding offering?
So we have a couple different offerings. I would say that the one I'm going to push is the XDR solution. I think that's where all customers are headed for. They have, you have certain customers are like, hey, we want to deploy a solution, right? We want to deploy Defender. We want to deploy data pipeline. We want to get Sentinel up and running. Then you have other customers that want some type of SOC augmentation, or they want some type of SOC model where we are providing people to do it. And then we have our XDR solution, which is us doing it for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that kind of brings me around to a question that I've heard a lot of discussion about this over the past 6 months or so. What do you feel about the SIEM or SIM? Do you think it's kind of on its way out?
So what's been happening with the Defender portal is fantastic, right? The renaming to the XDR portal and all the information that comes in there. And Edward and I know this from like the Defender experts, a lot of the stuff that you can do inside of that portal is growing and expanding. The reality is that even our customers that are all in on Microsoft, right, where they are a Microsoft shop, they go to Ignite every year, they buy the t-shirts, etc., they still have other stuff that's not Microsoft. Right. And that's where the SIM will continue to exist. Whether, I already mentioned Epic Health Logs, firewall logs, other third-party stuff. That all has to go somewhere. And I think that's where SIM will continue to be. But I'm excited to see that evolution. I know that there was, organizational changes at Microsoft to also bring about some of that, where we're bringing XDR and SIM closer together, because I think that makes it easier for the customer. The less time we can spend deploying or talking about how to deploy it, and the more time we can spend whiteboarding what should be deployed and then go do it, I think is ultimately helpful for everybody's security posture.
Well, it's a better, more rich experience, I believe, when you tie that type of data to XDR, right? So the standard kind of old types of data. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to maybe, Rod, have a show about technologies. Are they here or are they on their way out? Right. And
Yeah.
or methodologies and mindset around. And I think the SIM is a thing that's getting a lot of look at that I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's going to evolve, and we'll have a big brain show like one of the podcasts that people compared us to was that Smartless. I listened to it this morning.
Was it the
Yeah,
Stephen Martin episode?
yeah, Martin Short, and then Bon Jovi is pretty funny. But back to SRA. So, what is your? I know healthcare is one of the focal industries that you guys operate in. You'll be in Orlando for HISACA, which is the big healthcare thing now. I think you guys are a platinum partner there to be able to do that. What other verticals? I know you can operate in all of them, but what other verticals do you consider? Hey, we really nailed it. In addition to healthcare, what other verticals?
Yeah, healthcare, medical manufacturing, other types of manufacturing, and then finance. A lot of finance customers.
That's FSI is hard, but you were saying medical manufacturing, which sort of bleeds over to IoT of a sort, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at that, I don't want somebody hacking my pacemaker or my insulin distributor, so I get it, or some of the intercommunications. Let's talk about another thing. You touted this a few times, but everybody says they have these kick-ass services, right? How good is your red team? Are they really good?
Subjective.
I think, yeah, it's of course subjective. And to
right
say
now,
how cool they are would be to like give away some of the special sauce. But
ooh, good answer. Good answer.
Getting
They're so good, I can't even talk about them.
So what's fantastic about Security Risk Advisors is that we have physical offices and where our employees, our team members want to show up. So I get to have lunch with these folks, and I get to have lunch with red teamers, and they'll be sharing what their latest pen test is or what they're working on, and it's fascinating, it's amazing, it's interesting. It's B-sides times 10 as far as some of the stuff that they're doing and what they're thinking about. And Edward, you called out like your medical information. A lot of the times we hear about like, oh yeah, it's all about ransomware and money, right? And that's very easy to understand. Oh, it's a $1 trillion industry. They're going to take all our money, and that's how this goes on. But when you start thinking about like your medical rights and your medical vulnerabilities, right, that starts to take it to a whole other level of like, oh, this is not just losing money. This is potentially like
life and death.
Yeah, this is life and death of large amounts of people from influenced by one person or a bad actor or bad group far away. It's just it's scary and illuminating to kind of let the mind wander beyond its ransomware, right? It's phishing, it's ransomware, and it's just so people get paid. There's even more malicious things than that. Obviously, no one wants to pay $10 million ransomware or whatever, but someone in a nation state that doesn't like your nation state collecting all of your medical health records to find vulnerabilities can seem really scary. And
all of that's really scary, right? So the health side, but also infrastructure, all the IoT stuff is severely critical. It just literally exists everywhere that you don't that will impact your life. Yeah.
Now, what I knew about SRA before I found out that you joined there, I knew that you guys were really good at compliance, right? PCI, HIPAA, and stuff like that. So I thought you were one of those Deloitte and Touche and PwC like companies. Hey, we come in and we do the big audits, and that's our claim. I did not realize how deep you guys were into threat intel, threat detection, and things along that line. So that was an eye opener when I started doing research, because when I saw it, and I said, well, I know them. They're a compliance company. They come in and do all the audit and tell you everything you're doing bad in your organization and get right. But you guys have a diverse portfolio of offerings to be able to do it. You know, if how much effort are you guys going to sort of, and maybe we ask these other departments, how much effort will you think SRA will give Copilot for security without it consuming so much of the innovation life cycles? Because you gotta go build the business on what you've proven, right? Do you have and you told me about the inter council where you have an AI inside of it, you have a learning thing. Have you dedicated a stakeholder for, hey man, keep our eye on what's going on with Security Copilot. We may not be bleeding edge, but we can't fall too far behind because may not be able to catch up. Do you guys have a dedicated person or a dedicated group to say, hey, this is a thing that we need to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I want to say it's like 5 or 6 people that's job
Okay.
is to be tracking that.
Okay.
Our customers pay a premium for us to be their security provider and expect us to know not only what exists today, but what exists 5 weeks from now. And we spend a lot of time investing back into our people to make sure that they know what the newest, latest, greatest is, so that we're cycling back feedback, but also so that our customers can ask us and we have a real answer. So we're testing Security Copilot every single day. We have an AI group. We published a couple blogs on it. Obviously, Copilot is a piece of it. When you look at Azure AI Studio and Azure Open AI, there's more to it than Copilot. Copilot, is one piece, and then our customers are looking at rolling that out widely, not just Copilot, but looking at some of the other pieces and how they can plug it into their security stack and then expand it out, right? If you do Security Copilot, are you more likely to do M365 Copilot? Probably, right? If you get benefit from one, you'll probably get benefit from the other.
Well, I see more customers, I think, probably interested in the M365 one first, right? Because that's where the promise is and the efficiency and doing work better. But what do you see as, because I think most of the partners we've talked to this month, right? We're looking at it, we're trying to figure out where it's going to fit. It's definitely going to fit. It's going to be a nice layer to what we're offering, and we're still trying to figure that out. But what do you see as like the killer use case? What do you think it has to be for it to be just widely adopted? I know a lot of customers are interested, but again, you have to build use cases to use something, right?
If we say it's for KQL queries, a partner can help them out with that.
Yeah.
ChatGPT can help them out with that, right? That's not enough. If it's summarizing incidents, that's not enough either for a lot of them. It's nice that it's baked in. It's nice that it's built into the platform. It's really starting to automate and look across their organization using those tools that I think is the real differentiator of the product that is slowly emerging. I think the AI itself is going to learn from how customers want to use it, right? How the client wants to use it is going to be how the features are determined. And then obviously the clients are going to learn too what exactly it can do and it can't do. But what it can't do is only temporary as it figures things out. For me, what I would like to see it be able to do is more automations, being able to say, hey, I did this KQL query. I see this in my advanced threat hunting. Now I want to automatically create this rule so that when these indicators pop up, this happens. And I want to be able to talk plain text to it. I think once we get to that point, that is the crossing the chasm as far as adoption is concerned, when we can free text start writing or plain text start writing in what we want our security environment to look like, and having Copilot translate that throughout all of the different signals and products into something tangible.
Well, I think customers have to be comfortable with that too, because you know, from a Microsoft Sentinel perspective, early on, knowing how the playbooks work, people were a little hesitant, a little uncomfortable about just automating things until they figured out that, okay, yeah, this is a good scenario. I think Copilot for security, because it's the AI, it adds an extra level of, I'm just a little bit uncomfortable about automating things. So again, it's like buying a Tesla that drives itself, but you still keep your hands on the steering wheel because you don't trust it.
You don't trust it.
Well, it's just that it is the automation, but the automation can still be a suggestion. I will put this out in two things. I will either create a detection rule for you with no actions and report only, or I will say, here it is, tier 3 person with your experience. You decide whether this is impactful or non-impactful to the environment if executed as suggested, right? So it makes sense that you could, it's the speed of giving me a plausible resolution, whether I act on it or not. That's where the human part comes. Because I know the impact if I do this, because Copilot or anybody's pilot is not going to know the entirety of my infrastructure and the impact of an improper, response to something. It is going to fixate on the data set that it knows about. It doesn't know that we've done some really bad admin stuff on the background. And if you do this, you're going to break remote access to a bunch of stuff. You're going to lock out some processes. You may inadvertently quarantine a batch file that finance has been using to batch send invoices out, because why are we running bash files and creating, network shares and stuff like that? So I like to speed up any of these AI Copilot tools to, it's like the war room. When you see these spy movies, I mean the big movies, Mission Impossible, and the head guy's in there, he's like, all right, everybody, give me suggestions. What do you think? So Joe, as we get ready to close out the podcast, we were talking about, how do we get adoption of this, and we were talking about what you would like for Copilot to be, and you were telling us a little bit about, hey, if it could do this around automation and being able to give us, certain definitive actions so that we can take right away. I like that, but I think if I've said it, yes, give me the actions and let me get comfortable with executing those actions. So maybe the plugin or something says, do you choose this? Or maybe they can interact, create an analytic rule or something in report mode only with no action. But you're right, the trust has to come. With that being said, someone put into the comments, they're not seeing very many customers do it. Do you see in the word lot or several or this and that without what a basis, it makes no sense, but what do you perceive the amount of customers coming to you proactively and say, hey, what's this Copilot thing? Do I need to do this? How do I do this? Do you get that without having to go and prompt them for it? No pun intended.
Yeah, probably. Of our XDR customers, these are the ones that we're already doing a lot of stuff for as part of a managed XDR service. They're asking about this, before April 1st, right? They're asking about this before the launch. They're asking about this before GA. Hey, what's our opinion of Security Copilot? How can I use this? What should I be thinking about? Like the organizations of the world are tuned in more than ever, especially on cybersecurity, and the ability to disseminate information is fast. And I know that Microsoft isn't out there telling everyone that they need to go buy this today, right? They're very measured with their marketing, and they're very careful with what it does and what it doesn't do. And as Rod was showing in the beginning, like even the presentations that folks are giving, it starts off with what it doesn't do. But there is genuine customer excitement. We've talked about the skills gap, the talent gap, the labor pool, etc. Like that's been a problem for several years, and AI offers this promise of being able to solve that. We also have the threat actors getting worse and worse, and unfortunately AI, which is good for us, the defenders, is also can be helpful for the bad actors too, to become worse or better at being bad actors. I don't know how you want to describe it, but we don't have to prompt. I will also use that term. We don't have to prompt our customers about it. They're asking us. They're very much in tune with what is going on, and they want to know what we think. And our recommendation is, yes, if you have an SCU, you have some money for an SCU, and you want to test it out, we'll gladly test it out with you. We'll help walk you through it. We'll explain our thoughts and advise, because that's what we do. But as far as us having to cold call a client and be like, hey, have you heard of this Copilot thing? The reality is most are interested, but it's also new. It's just like when the cloud came out and everyone was trying to figure out what this Azure consumption was and what does it mean to commit to spend money on Azure. And everyone was really afraid of that, because it was a new type of currency that they were transacting in. They went from product licensing to user licensing. Now we have this consumption-based licensing. And I think SCUs are the same way too. So there's great excitement and there's great hesitancy because now there's a new currency or a new way that you pay for this. And what Copilot is capable of has not been revealed yet. And I think over this next year, we're just going to see leaps and bounds as far as where it can go.
Well, I do
Yeah.
too. And going back to the automation piece, I don't, in that I hate to use the word trust. It's not a trust thing. It's just being comfortable with, because, it's based, Copilot for Security is built on the latest model, right? Which already is capable of automation and the plugins for automation. It's just not doing that yet, right? So again, there's that comfortability. Customers, and I think just in general, people have to be comfortable with that.
Well, it's the same thing for our listeners that it was the same type of paradigm that Sentinel brought. My logging is in the cloud. I'm paying for ingestion when I used to just create a PO and buy spindles. Now spindles are a microservice, and eventually it figured itself out. The reason that Copilot, in my opinion, hasn't really grabbed that adoption is because it is a very new, consumption thought process. I am buying compute power to do a thing, and it's charging me by the prompt. So this is the new math, the new science, the new language. And once the language is learned, which is the buzzwords, the operational parameters, you'll see adoption of it, and you'll see customers. I believe you'll see customers come in. Now, I very rarely get questions about Sentinel billing and ingestion methodologies, right? I think it took and I'd like to think I was one of those indirect mind leaders on saying, quit worrying about what you're bringing in, worry about why you're bringing it in. So I took the what out and I put the why in, and then customers got better. I think you have the same thing with Copilot for Security. You're gonna get away from how can I use it to, why should I use it, to how I should use it. And that is going to come. It's just a natural maturation as the tendency for others to let others go first, which also brings value to SRA. You are the trusted security advisor. We will go out here and do the big brain absorption for you, boil it down, and then we'll give it to you, and then we'll give you a unbiased choice on whether this is going to be right for you, and that's fair. I think the partners that figured it out will do it. Partners who are struggling themselves to understand the model, you're looking at it, from a way that's not very subjective and objective at the same time. But man, this has been very good. I am happy to see where you are. Definitely, if I have opportunities for SRA, we'll do it, and put it out there for another show. We have personal interaction, so we just work together at Microsoft. I'm good with that. That's how it is. That's relationships. You're supposed to do that.
I really like what you folks did for the entire month with a partner month. I know I just started watching the show, gosh, probably a couple months ago. I watched every episode of the Women in Cybersecurity month that you held, and that was fantastic. Ray, Maria, others that you had on, and then this partner month, every single partner coming on to talk about what they're doing to fight the bad actors, right? What their team of defenders are doing, and this partner space. We really can't be competitive with each other. It's a team sport. We're all working together to deploy the latest and greatest in order to protect our clients. And a lot of us have shared clients, and we all have that shared mission. So whether you're Foresight, Bulletproof, Critical Start, who else do you have on there? Quorum Cyber, Tanium, and I guess even James Key, who started off the whole month. It's a team effort, and all of these folks, I look forward to seeing them at the RSA conference. I know we'll all be getting together, etc. But it's all trying to figure out, how do we take the latest that's available to us that we know the bad actors are already aware of, and how are we creating products and services and using all of those that already exist in order to protect our customers. And I think that's the fun mission that we all have. It invigorates us, it excites us, and it's the stuff that we love to go home and tell our families about, how we're protecting the world on a daily basis.
I agree with you. I couldn't put it better. The fact that you shouted out all the other partners show that you're hey, we're all in this together. And sometimes we do cross pollinate. You may go in there and there's another partner. So rather than me going in and trying to oust that other competitor, I'm just trying to make the customer better. And we wanted a partner. We turned away a lot of partners. We just didn't have enough room, right? Will it expand next year? More than likely. And we don't. It'll always be a partner theme month. What the focus will be, we don't know yet, right? Who knows what's going on?
Who knows, right? Yeah.
Who knows what's going to be the thing, right? So we just want to make sure that we put the best possible scenarios, offering, and opportunity information to our listeners to go say, no, I wonder if I can find me a good XDR. Let me go to the Microsoft Security Insights. I think they did a partner month and they got some good candidates, right? They did the vetting for us a little bit. And we're not sponsored by any of these, right? We just want to put the best people out, right? Yep. It speaks volumes that, there are some people we've invited who have not come on, right? So that's okay too. But for the most part, we have a very good swath of partners combining last year and this year. It'll be an ongoing thing. Well, thank you so much, Joe. We really appreciate you coming on talking about security risk advisors. Thank you for educating me about you guys being much more than a compliance and risk audit company. You guys are really deep inside the pen testing, the red teaming, as well as your threat intel and your threat detection, your XDR service. Anytime you want to come back on the show, give us enough notice, right? If we're not booked, we'll get you on. And if you want to co-host, I got an interesting scenario that's going to come up soon where co-hosting will be very
possibly.
fun.
That would be. I like that. I like what you're thinking.
Oh yes.
Hey, and if you want to do something for us, Joe, while you're sitting with all those people at RSA in a few weeks, you could shame them for not having Edward and myself.
I will shame them because I think it'd be really fun for you guys to have a show there at the Palace
we
Hotel.
We would love to do a show at RSA.
Oh my God. And
we would make a spectacle.
Just like they have, remember they used to have like the Ignite show? Remember they had it would be fun to have an RSA security show.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. Give us time. Slow and steady running race. We're distance runners, right? We have patience. Well, everyone, we would like to thank you for tuning in the entirety of the month of April as we conclude our second annual partner theme month with a focus. Ed is attacked by the death goose. I had to make a run for it.
I think that's the male goose. The female goose is the one my wife ran over. That's the male goose.
Wow,
here we go. For his wife.
Goose side. Next month we're back to normal. Normal being subjective itself. We will be having guests come on to talk about different security.
We have some good ones. We have some good ones.
Yes,
we do.
And the show is taking off, man. We almost booked to August, so we got some spots we need to fill in. Thanks everyone. Remember, our shows are Monday. That would be the new broadcast time, same day, but on Mondays. And if we have off-show months, they will be on Wednesday. So tune in on Mondays. Tell everybody come on and have some fun. Bring some good questions. And we thank everybody. Have a good one.
All right.